the village where Wes was born in Bristol Bay, right now in the winter, 6 people live.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
We both watched it.
Mm-hmm. So we've seen, 24, 30.
I'd say about 25, probably, at least.
That's more podcasts of supremedental that I've seen. Who is your favorite person that's came out of the podcast? Just say it. So the dentist and the assistants is not like, oh, the dentist and the assistants or myself. Like, we're a team. We all hold each other accountable.
I just thank you for bringing my smile back.
There you go.
There you go. We really appreciate that.
There you go. That's what it's all about.
You're not gonna hold back. You're just gonna smile. You're just gonna go for it.
Yes.
There you go.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and pepper and heavy D up in the limousine.
Hello, welcome back to Supreme Dental Podcast Studio. You can be anywhere else in the world right now, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, this podcast was meant for you, our patients. My wife and I are the owners of Supreme Dental Clinic. Listen, we're on Apple Podcasts and we're on Spotify. Now, at the end of this episode, if you make it to the end of this episode, we're going to be saying some very important things, maybe some giveaways. So stay tuned. And today we have Anisha, Wesley, and Dr. Elias.
Hello, Frank.
How you guys doing?
Oh, Frank, we're doing fine.
You're doing fine. So I'm very excited to have you guys here. And I'll tell you why. Because when we started this podcast, we made it so our agents can, when they're speaking about a subject in particular, they will be able to send it out to our patients or future patients or patients that we have already, and they could understand the process a little bit better. Never did I think that patients were actually going to hear or see multiple episodes and or decide on this clinic because of the podcast itself. And it's been since I don't know how long, every week I at least get one patient that approaches us about the podcast. And we understand how much strength the podcast has been getting, how strong podcasts are. And I experienced that with you guys when we're in the waiting room. And you guys let me know exactly. You were pointing out everybody because you guys have seen us in the podcast. So tell us a little bit about your journey. And I'm all ears. I'm all headphones.
Well, the first time I heard about Supreme Dental is a friend of mine and a friend of my brother's, a real good friend of my brother's, showed me his teeth. And, I asked him, where do you get that done? And he told me Supreme Dental. And that led us to investigate further. So we Googled, I guess my wife Googled Supreme Dental and saw that he had podcasts. And also she called Supreme Dental and we got in touch with a patient coordinator named Ernesto, who was very helpful.
Yes.
Very helpful. And any questions that we had, we asked Ernesto. And between the podcast and between our communication with Ernesto, it gave us a real good comfort level where we decided to come to Supreme Dental.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And that friend that he's talking about, this is thousands of miles from here in Alaska, in a remote village. So that was quite a surprise to learn about it so far from here.
And that friend was happy.
Very happy. In fact, his wife, a few years later, had her implants done here. So it was the two of them.
How many people are in your guys' where you guys live in your guys' town?
Well, in the summer, that's when we saw them. In Bristol Bay, Alaska, there are dotted areas on the map of tiny villages, medium to tiny, like the village where Wes was born in Bristol Bay. Right now, in the winter, 6 people live.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
No roads, no stores, no restaurants. Food is flown in on a little plane if the weather permits. and it's very, very remote. But there are a number of these little villages. We can only see one village from his village, and the rest are so spread out. There's more bears than there are people.
Oh, wow.
So right now there's 5 people. There's 6 people in this room. So this is your town right here.
Whole village.
Oh, whole village.
Village. Holy moly.
Mhm.
And where are you from?
My grandmother is from his village.
She's like, I'm from New York. What? Wow.
So
Wow.
we're both Sugpiaq-Alutiiq people. And we have researched this, and no, we are not cousins, okay?
That's good. No, that's good. That's awesome.
It's a big deal
Is it?
in the small villages trying to find someone who's not your
So-
cousin.
So what do you guys, I mean, I'm super shocked. I never heard of this place.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I knew you told me it was small, but that's not small. That's like a household here in Mexico.
Mhm.
But that's just the winter time, right?
Yes.
So during the summer,
Yes,
there's
in
9.
The summer, there's
12.
40.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's like an elementary classroom.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost supreme.
Yeah, we have 36 people in our team.
Your village is called Supreme
That's
Dental.
the Supreme Village.
Yes.
We need to go start something like that in Alaska.
Maybe.
So
Yes.
how do you? So you say that the groceries come on a plane. What do you mean, like what do you? There's a small store, or
Well, people order from Walmart or the bigger, like Fred Meyer supermarkets, and the orders are done remotely and then sent on the plane.
so it's like a DoorDash but on a plane.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so, you start out with your own supplies at the beginning of the season. You bring in what food you can, whether it's by boat or by plane. And then when you start running out of things, you order it by plane, like you said, DoorDash, but by plane.
Oh my gosh! Like so, this is hard to. I mean, I'm
You're shocked, yeah?
I'm shocked. So do you guys store for like months in advance, or you guys just like, I ran out of milk, let me call the plane up, or how does it?
We don't drink milk. It's too hard.
Wow.
And in some of the remote villages, the milk could be $12, $15 a gallon.
Like it's supply and demand, huh?
And by weight, things ship on planes by weight. So milk is heavy, liquids are heavy, and yeah, milk's very, very expensive.
And your friend that got work here done, he lives in another village.
Mm-hmm.
And how many people do you think live in that village?
Probably about 80
Okay,
or 90.
sounds like a big village, bigger village. So that's exactly. So out of 80 and then 6, they came to Supreme. He brought his wife to Supreme. You came to Supreme. You guys are both at Supreme. So, and you guys are way out there in Alaska. That's amazing. That's
And
amazing.
We ran into them on a small plane last summer when we were going to the village. There they were on the same little plane in the same little collection of villages at the same time. It was pretty remarkable.
It was just meant to be.
Yeah, and I had recognized her, so I turned around in my chair and I asked the lady next to me, "Is that so-and-so?" And she said yes. And then I didn't realize that her husband was sitting right across from her. So, and they were both had been here to Supreme for their dental work.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you guys have internet and all that
Yes.
good stuff there.
Well, yeah, when we go to the community building, we have internet there.
Not at your house.
No.
I'm shocked. I'm still shocked. I'm trying to absorb this. This is, I mean, but you guys like it there. 'Cause you guys, it's normal. You guys love the peace.
It's so peaceful, and
I bet you it is.
seeing the bears and the wolves
I've
and
never seen a bear in real life.
the.
Well, I mean, it's in
the
Ernesto. He's
animals,
close.
and the salmon come, and that's the whole kind of thing about summer is the salmon.
Do you guys pack on salmon?
Yeah, we do.
That's awesome.
We're talking about bears. When we first out, was it our first summer out there? And my brother had sent out little rubber raft, and I had stored it right put it up against my cabin. And anyway, about 3:30, I woke up about 3:15 in the morning, and I heard a noise outside. So I looked outside, and there's these two little bear cubs.
Little, he says.
They're trying to tear into the rubber because they like to chew on rubber, trying to get into the rubber raft.
It was wrapped inside cardboard and boxing, and it was ripping that and almost got to destroy the boat. But he ran out and scared them.
How do you scare a cub?
How do you scare a bear?
Well, at first I just hollered at them, and then they backed off about 15 feet, and then they came back. So the second time I had to take a gun and shoot a gun in the air to scare them off.
And then they left. So they were good bears.
We have stray dogs. You have cubs. Yeah, we have a lot. We were just talking about how many stray dogs they have here. He says, I think there's more stray dogs than kids here in Algodones. That's what he said. So now tell me, now you've seen the podcast. You see, your friend told you about the experience. You come down here and you actually knew Eliah's name. You knew everybody's name because of these podcasts. How does that help to you, to your experience, to your dental journey? How was that to be able to see what you've seen in the podcast now here, that we're not robots, we're real?
You're all like superstars, and because we've seen you in all these episodes, and we
Thank you.
there's so and so, there's so and so, there's so and so, everyone's here.
She's like, oh my God, Frank's gained weight. And I'm like, oh my God, no, don't tell me that.
So that was really cool to have the sense of, and in fact, I remember saying to you when we got here, and we're looking at you like, oh, we just want to hug you guys. We know you. But we say, well, you don't know us, but we know you.
Yeah, I got a message or a call that day, and they're like, "This is this patient who knows all of our names, and we don't know who this patient is, Frank.
It's kind of weird, huh?
What's going on?"
So the podcasts make 1,000% difference to when we have questions about, going to Mexico, going to another country, going so far from here. And then we can watch podcast after podcast to, I'm curious about this. And, here's a podcast about it. So we watch that. And then it leads to another and another and another. And so many questions got answered.
So I'm going to ask you a question. Besides me, who is your favorite person that's came out of the podcast? Just say it. Just say it.
Out of the podcast?
Yeah, out of the podcast. Who's your favorite person that's came out in this podcast?
Everybody's my favorite.
Your daughter.
My daughter?
Oh yeah, your daughter.
There you go.
And that back bend
That back, yeah.
from Thriller.
Yeah.
And those were interesting too. All the podcasts you did on the celebrations, on the Halloween, and
We like to have fun.
Christmas. It's fun.
yeah.
And that puts us at ease that, these are human beings. There's fun to be had and together with the expertise and the precision equipment,
Yeah.
and getting to see the space and become familiar.
I still think Lisa's a robot.
Yeah, Luis is a robot.
I'm sure of it. I don't want to spill water on him because, but
I know you don't. Maybe I do.
I don't know. But so now when you guys walk into Supreme, you guys were across the street at Cosmetic Center. Was it what you guys have seen in the videos? Is it better? Is it the same? Were you guys expecting this level of customer service? Were you not? I mean, get at me with the truth. Was it everything that you guys expected?
So how it looked and how
How it looked,
was, and
how the customer
process
service was, everything.
If Luis looked real,
It was it was good. I think everything that you do is good, including the Halloween things.
The Halloween specials.
I think it's all part of team building. I think
Yeah.
it helps you build a team, and I think that's probably the most important thing is working as a team. And
That's a powerful strength.
Yeah,
A
a happy team
is
is
a
a successful team, and we like to keep our team happy. And we like to have, just as we are with our patients, that we have transparency. We have transparency with our employees also. And our employees have it with us. And we're a team. So the dentist and the assistants is not like, oh, the dentist and the assistants or myself. Like, we're a team. We all hold each other accountable. Like Elias has told me, hey, Frank, I feel like this is going on. Or, hey, Elias, I think this is going on. And that's how we didn't want to be just a clinic that you sat down and we just started working on your mouth and then you left. And then we didn't remember who you are. Like, we wanted to feel like if you're the closest to family possible without being family. Like, you're now part of our dental family, so you're part of the Supreme family. But that's how we wanted the videos and everything to happen, because that's exactly what it's like here at the clinic. So with these videos in George's Magic, we bring all that together and we try to put that through the screen itself, so you guys can feel the love all the way to Alaska. So
it seems like the strength of each individual, the knowledge you have earned and gained and bring to work, and who you hire and what the strengths, it's an awesome essential strength. And then when you put it together as a flowing team, that's a superpower, because we've all been to medical dental offices where you and the one person interface, and you go in, you get your job done, and you go and the job's done. But it's not like this, where there's support from each other, from the team members, on this issue, that issue. And instead of just settling for only the knowledge of that one professional, you have the network that can come together and talk and make decisions and bounce things off and achieve a new level of what you have to offer.
yeah, no, that's pretty well said.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens
Wow.
iron. That's how we say it.
Mm.
And Wesley, what did you have done exactly? I know what you had done, but
Oh, the
Yeah, yeah. I started out getting all on 4, and from after we started all on 4, Doctor
Mitch.
Dr. Mitch said everybody thought that I should get paragoids.
the pterygoids, yeah,
And I already knew about the paragoids from watching the
podcast.
podcast.
Oh, there you go.
So I had it. In fact, I had it written down of what I had heard about paragoids. So, and did some research on my own and found out that it goes into the paragoid bone area. So I was already a little familiar with that. So when you guys made the decision that I should get paragoids, I didn't have any hesitation. I said, yeah, let's do it.
And that's when you met Dr. Elias.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I actually met him a day before. We were me and Luis were walking in the clinic, and we met you guys outside. I remember that. You guys knew us, and they're like, hey.
And I haven't met them before.
And Luis is like, are they your patients? I was like, no, are they your patients? And like,
She's like, Frank, we're scared.
yeah. But I remember that. I do remember that.
I probably pronounced that wrong. How do you pronounce that?
Pterygoids. Yeah, you were right.
Pterygoids.
Yeah, you were right. You're right on the spot.
There you go.
And that's how we worked. Yeah, Dr. Mitch and I, we worked together. As you mentioned, all of us work together as a team. All the doctors, we always discuss every case. We always bounce off each other. We always have everybody take a look. We're not jealous with our knowledge. We like to share our knowledge, or if someone has a better idea of how to approach something, that I think that's why we've been able to grow faster and better, because they do such a great job of picking the people that are actually going to play for the team, not just play for themselves. So,
And the one thing I would add to that team and that superpower of the teamwork is the essential element for the rest of the world is the communication and the demonstration. And that's where George comes in to put the stories together visually, audio, and
Are you paying them for this? And for example, you guys communicated with Ernesto, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll put a small picture here with Ernesto when he's in Switzerland with Ernesto. And my dad also went to Switzerland with him. And Mitch went to Switzerland also, and Dr. Alonso. And they're doing video calls to patients while they were in Switzerland.
We talked to him while he was.
Oh, yeah, did you?
Well, we texted.
Okay, yeah,
While
he was in Switzerland.
Switzerland.
He never stopped working.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was there, and he was like, "Hey, can I?" Yeah, no problem. And hey, how you doing? And you do video consultations when he was over there. He's very reachable. Our agents are. We handpicked our agents also. Like Ernesto. I've known him for over 15 years. He's actually my best friend, and his wife started working with us before, and my wife handpicked her. And all started because she was doing she's a teacher. She was a substitute teacher in Indiana, and she was selling essential oils. So she came down to where we live, and she was telling her all about the oils, not even trying to sell her, and she had such a passion for these essential oils. Like you can tell when someone really believes in something. And my wife's like, I want her to be part of Supreme. And I was like out of nowhere, right? And when Ernesto was on his way to California to catch a plane, I tell him, hey, my wife wants to speak to your wife. And that's how it started. And Ernesto just came as a bonus, and it was years later that he was added to the team. And but yeah, he feels he's always been that guy that likes to help, like always. So him being in this position, he's like, I want to help, and he's at a different time zone. But you guys are at a different time zone also. Mm-hmm. But sometimes he's asking question at our 10 o'clock. That's his 1 o'clock in the morning, and he's still awake. And I'm like, go to sleep. He's like, I can't, man. I have to answer these questions. And I'm like so hyped about it, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, man, like relax. And he's like, man, this is crazy. Like I'm helping patients, and then patients that get back and mention him or tell him, hey, you helped me change my life, because it's a big decision coming down here, putting your trust on us, all the way from Alaska. Obviously, word of mouth is the biggest marketing. You've seen someone, and they told you where they came, so you felt safe. Then you've seen some podcasts, and you felt better. But if you would have called and Ernesto would have answered like, hey, what's up? Hey, I'm looking for some dental work. All right, what you need? It would have been like, ooh, I don't know. And
Not enough information.
It all connects. Mm-hmm. It all connects.
Yes.
And then obviously you came down here, and everything else is history, And now you have a beautiful smile.
Yes, and talking about Ernesto, he's a very good communicator with my wife. She's a good communicator also. So whenever she has questions, he immediately responded and said, you can. He says, I can't sleep at night anyway, so go ahead and text me.
There was one time there was a small delay, and then the information came that he was in Switzerland, and it was completely different time than it was in Alaska, and he was just waking up. So it's like, cool. That's cool.
Internet is probably like, hey man, I messed up.
Oh.
I was sleeping.
Oh, sleeping.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing, man? You better wake up. I'm just kidding. I tell him, hey man, you need to, he's all about it. He's all about helping patients, and we all are. And that's, and we're so particular about that. Like, there's been times when patients are going to get something done, or they want something in particular. And Dr. Elias, Dr. Luis, Dr. Alonso, our team gets together and they're like, hey, you know what? I don't think this was right. Or, you know what? We had a patient not too long ago that came in and asked for something, but they had a different type of attitude. Like, he felt like there was something else that wasn't just dental. Because sometimes when patients come in, every situation is different. Some people don't want to be here, and then they're mad at themselves because they're here because of whatever they didn't address earlier. And it's like a fight. Like, they come here and they're mad. They're like, oh, how can I help you? Well, one with teeth. And you're like, oh, okay. Do you have any pain? Let me go ahead and take a look. I just want teeth. And you're just like, you came from Florida to tell me you want teeth. Like, I know you want teeth. That's why we're here, but give me a little bit more, and I tell my team, they're not mad at us, So, and he was telling me, hey, you know, I don't know, this patient, like there's something that, you know, wasn't clicking. And we talked, and we called her Nesto actually. And I said, hey, how was the conversation with that patient? He's like, oh, this is how it went. And we all decided, hey, let's go ahead and talk to the patient and let's do these questions. And if not, then we tell her that it's better for her to go look somewhere else, because we're not going to do something that, I don't tell them to do something that I let my dentist take over the medical part of it. So if you're coming in for an all-on-4, all-on-6, and you don't need it, I don't tell you, hey, go ahead and do it, because they're already sold on it, you know? And let them, hey, you guys take over that. And everything worked out.
Have you considered a psychologist on staff?
Actually, that's what he told me, that that we probably need something like that.
I mean, look at Star Trek. Even they have
Yeah.
their empath lady.
Yeah, but then all my dentists will be there also. We don't want to open that can of worms. I'm just Elias, why are you crying? But thank you so much for being here, guys. I know it's late. I know it's been a long day. I know you just got your smile. And I really wanted you guys to be part of this because of patients like you is why we did actually, why the podcast was actually done. And you guys telling me, hey, I came from Alaska and I seen your podcast when all your team was there. It means the world to us. It means the world to George too.
Well, I remember the podcast where you explained how you were putting off podcasts and
Yeah.
you only agreed in a vulnerable moment.
You got me.
And now look at the magic it is.
It was a very vulnerable moment. Yeah, it was
And it was a good decision on your part.
Yes, very good decision.
my wife pushed me to it. I'm just kidding. She forces me. And then I'm like, okay, so now we're going to be in the podcast. And she's like, no, you're going to be in the podcast. I'm like, oh, great. That's awesome. And my little girl, she's like, I want to be a podcaster when I grow up. And I'm just like, I don't know, honey. Just if you want to, but hopefully you grow out of it. But unless you explode like Joe Rogan, but then you're okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to tell you that how many podcasts do you think you guys have seen between both of you?
Well, we watched podcasts together. You know, she'd bring it up on the TV screen, and we both watched it.
So we've seen, I don't know, 24, 30.
I'd say about 25, probably, at least.
That's more podcasts of supremedental that I've seen. Because I don't see my own podcast. Like I don't.
Well, you don't have all the questions we had, so we were looking for
That
answers.
is true.
That's true. And that's what it was meant for.
And it sure gave a sense of familiarity and like a welcoming spirit and safe, and get to see the offices and the people, and so.
And you want to be comfortable, you know, to commit to
Oh yeah.
traveling from Alaska down to here.
And
So how was
bringing
it?
your life savings and handing it over.
That too.
But it's a value, added value to life.
Yes.
Life, quality of life.
And I did before we watched too many podcasts, I did contact the implant specialist in Alaska. I did check into one other person, but as I watched your podcast, I was more comfortable coming down here,
To a new
thank you.
country.
coming to Supreme.
Wow. Dang. That's pretty good.
We appreciate that.
That's pretty good. That's, like I said, that's wow for me. That's wow.
And you have delivered.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you
Thank
sure
you.
we're not paying these pigeons? No. That's awesome. Well, thank you. That smile. There's a smile right there.
Well, you know, like I said before, you know, I don't know if I told you, but when people took pictures of us, or she took a picture, you know,
Selfie.
selfies and stuff, I tried to hold back on my smile because I knew my teeth weren't as nice as they could be, you know, so I'd be a little reserved on my smile. Now I don't have to do that anymore. I can just let out my smile.
And how does it
And
feel?
It feels good. It feels great.
Nice.
Now you can scare those bears. Like,
And this meconium can handle it.
There you go. You're like,
In the darkness of night, they can see all that.
put a flashlight to it. That's awesome. That is awesome. Is there anything else you guys would like to say to any of the patients that are out there that are on the fence, that don't think we're real?
Well, I say they're real, and watch more podcasts because questions are answered. And then if they're not, then there's a patient coordinator that
Yes.
is like your person, and there's such it's so wonderful that there's a person that we feel like is our person. It's not being switched around to different people, available or not available. He's available and just a perfect person for answering and letting you feel like he is your person.
You're going to make Ernesto cry.
Because he's
Oh.
and he's really sweet. Like like when you get to meet him, he's
And he's been personable. Even in texting, we can feel personal. Like he's a person.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because you guys have so much interactions with bears that you felt comfortable with Ernesto. I'm just kidding. He has his beard sometimes, but he's a great guy. He was super happy when you guys were here. He tells me, "Hey man, these patients came down from Alaska." I knew all about you before I drove in that morning, and then I drove in when our team were sending me messages like, "Hey, there's these patients here. They know who we are, man." And I'm like, "Did you check? Are they FBI or what's going on?"
I hear he's wearing a wire today.
And then I walked in, and they were all outside, like by the hallway, sitting down that morning, and they were telling me about you. And then you guys passed by,
We're real too.
and we're like, and your head kept on turning. I'm just kidding. We're like, "Oh my gosh." I'm like, "No, that's awesome." And then you guys spoke to me in the reception. No, well, thank you so much for being here. How's to fly from Alaska? Do you guys are in the small town? What is the town called?
Well, in the winter, we're in Kenai.
Kenai.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to Kenai. You guys are in Kenai, and
Then we drive 3 hours through the mountains around the inlet to the city of Anchorage.
Anchorage,
300,000 people.
300,000. No, that's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, you fly to
After
Phoenix.
that, it's a 5.5 hour flight to Phoenix.
But
From
the
Anchorage?
first time it was layover in Seattle. So.
far away from home.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, another 3 hours from Phoenix to here, approximately.
And on our first trip, it was so nice to be picked up and brought across the border and ease our way into familiarity. Now, this trip, we have all that we're familiar with. We're familiar with the area, so we could drive ourselves and walk across. And, we're going to miss Charlie walking us back to the
And you guys are gonna miss next week. Well, no, I'm leaving for 2 weeks, but the week after that, we implemented. Now we're gonna have a golf cart, a 6-seater. Then Charlie will be able to drive, which I'm kind of worried about. But and he's gonna go pick up patients at the border and drive them back, because a lot of times you have a lot of luggage and you have all that good stuff. So I don't know if you've seen. There's a lot of little golf carts.
Yeah.
So we got a golf cart also.
And will
so.
it have a flag with your name, or how will you specify?
We're gonna have a Supreme shuttle in the front, and then he's gonna have that big board, just like he normally has, over there. And then he'll walk you to the golf cart, and then you guys will get on.
It's a plan.
There you go.
And it was real nice and convenient to have the hotel right across the street, and we didn't have too far to go, and
It's
it
really,
made
really
it
awesome.
easy, made it
Really.
awesome to have our appointments.
Especially when he was so like on the medication, and he just I think Charlie sort of half carried him. But right there to the hotel is very nice.
All that feedback's awesome. Yeah. So once you get your surgery, your hotel's right there, so you don't have to travel or go another 15 minutes or get a ride. You just walk to your room.
You just want to get to your room. That's
And
all you
rest.
want to do. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was
Great.
nice.
was it worth it?
Oh, absolutely.
That's what we'd love to hear.
I wouldn't want to have to spend another hour right after surgery and to travel for another hour. It was so much easier just to walk across the street and get our rest, recover.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for choosing Supreme. Thank you so much for putting your trust on us. And anything else you want to say?
Well, I really enjoyed working with you guys. It's fun because what Frank says and what you guys say as well is that we just don't play that part of doctor patient. You know, we actually get to meet each other, talk, personalities, exchange personalities, and we like to do that. We like to know who we're working with, you know, and it's been fun. It's been a pleasure of mine and the other doctors as well that we can work with you guys and spend time with you guys and actually have someone that watches the podcast be here with us and tell us how everything started and the way you guys came down here, how everything went out, and we can finally deliver the final work. So I really appreciate that. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
We're real.
Yeah, thank you.
We're real, and you guys are real also. Huh?
But we got to meet you and we have your pictures, but can we get an autograph?
Oh man.
Sure. I don't know about Luis because Luis he's probably a robot.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Luis would be
Luis
like, he can't hold the pen. He wasn't programmed to do it.
He's like, where's the implant?
Just program him. Yeah, he's gonna try to do an implant.
So
no,
you say you do this for the patients, and it's received. We receive it very well. I'm very glad you do it.
And it really helps us out a lot as well because sometimes a lot of the questions that they're going to do at the console, they already know.
Mm-hmm.
So they pretty much have a better idea of what they're actually getting into. A lot of people would, I want to do an all-on-4, and they would come down and they had no clue what an all-on-4 was. And we can spend a really long time just explaining everything.
And believe it or not, like Elias, he does pterygoids. Obviously, he did pterygoids on you. But when we got to the podcast, I mean, these guys have not been trained to be in front of camera. So the videos that we do, you know, it's because we want to do them, and we don't like, okay, let's retrain. Let's go ahead. When we do a podcast just like this one, we just talk. You know, we just talk. We don't have notes. You know, we don't have a screen. George tells us when the batteries are running out. That's as good as it gets. And we just open up and when we speak. So in the beginning, as you've seen some perhaps of the first podcasts, they weren't as good. They started getting a little bit better. There was one when we're picking on Luis right now, but there was one where Luis was just like this.
We saw it. It's all good.
And he didn't know that when I was speaking, he was next to me. You could also see him. So he's just like this. Or one when I caught him right here and I said, so let me ask you a question about what I said. Can you repeat the question? I just spoke for 15 minutes. He didn't. he overthinks everything that you're saying. He wants to analyze it. Kind of like Dr. Elias. They're real perfectionists. Real perfectionists. Alonzo, Dr. Michelle. Also, they're real perfectionists at what they do. They look at something, they don't like it, they'll send it back. And now being able for us to have our own lab, and your work was done at our own lab, we're able to see the quality. Because we would depend on other labs to do our work, okay? And then the pig dental came, and then nobody really knew how to use it in their lab. And the place that did know how to use it, he's like, oh, let's go ahead and work with that lab. And he was all about it, and I wasn't, because I didn't like the work. I'm not a dentist, but I didn't like the way it looked to me, and to my non-dentist eye, you know. And so I said, I'm never opening up a lab, never. He's like, well, I don't know, Frank, it's coming. Never. My wife's like, well, you know, never. And now we have a lab. So I'm just not going to say never anymore, you know? and now we know exactly what zirconia we're working on in your mouth. And we know exactly what's milling. And we know exactly the designer. And the designer works perfectly with the dentist. So we can have everything faster and align better. Because it's not just about technology. It's about them knowing how to use the technology and putting their knowledge into it. But they have everything here. but then you also have to put it on the lab technicians also, and they have to connect. And then the lady that does we call her abuela, but now it's la tia.
La
because
tia.
She got some enhancements and she looks younger at Eternal Beauty. So so she's the one that puts, life into your work. So it looks real. So it's a process.
Art and science.
Art
Yes.
and science
And communication.
and
to
skill.
Get it there, yeah.
So it's everything all together. So thank you so much for being here. I think I said that like 3 times, but thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, man. I think it was great. That was another added feature is you having your own lab here too. And we thought that was pretty cool, special.
No, thank you. And I mean, what can I say? I mean, it's a blessing to have patients that decide to come to Supreme from so far away and from close and from so far away. But you're talking about a town in the winter that they have 6 people. And you being in a small plane flight. How many people are in that small plane that could fly in that small plane?
Well, sometimes there's only 2 seats on the real small ones. That's me and him and the pilot and a bunch of stuff. But there's some that are 6, 8-seater.
10-seaters. The 10-seaters can go up over the mountains, but the small plane, you can't go over the mountains, so you have to go through a path.
Narrow
I'm
path.
getting anxiety just thinking about it.
a narrow path
gorgeous.
where the
I bet.
ride's bumpy like that.
Oh, no.
It
You
can-
lost me.
If someone is religious but have been away from their religion for a while, it comes
Right back. I bet.
Start praying.
Yes.
Wow.
It's either the plane ride, the bears, the snow,
The wolves.
the wolf.
And you can't, they don't, I mean, she lost me that. There's no milk.
Well,
'Cause-
people, if you want to pay for it, you can get it.
$15.
Internet, no internet.
Oh, my little girl will go nuts. My little boy, no Wi-Fi. What? But I'll let my little girl know that you guys really liked her podcast. Next
Yes.
thing you know, she's gonna want to take over this chair right here. But once again, thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for being part of the Supreme family. And this doesn't end here. We want to stay in communication. I'm pretty sure Nesta's gonna keep on bugging you guys on how everything is going. If you ever happen to take a selfie over there in Alaska, send it in. We really appreciate the reviews on Google. If you take a selfie with the baby cub, I'm just kidding. Don't get close to him. But thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Elias, for joining us
Thank
today.
you. No, thank you guys for inviting me.
Thank you so much, George, for staying overtime. Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes. Oh yeah, look at his eyes. And see, he keeps me sharp. He keeps me sharp. So, whoever's lasted this far on the podcast, thank you so much for listening. And for anybody who mentions Supreme Smile, starting December, there'll be a small gift, and we'll send that gift to you guys too. And it'll be a small gift as appreciation for watching this full podcast. We'll send you a little package also. So I don't know how long it will take,
Nobody does.
but I would say I would overnight it, but I don't think that's going to happen.
You
But-
couldn't even overnight yourself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
We're going to have to Elon Musk it.
I just thank you for bringing my smile back.
There you go.
There you go. We really appreciate that.
There you go. That's what it's all about.
You're not gonna hold back. You're just gonna smile. You're just gonna go for it.
Yes.
There you go.
There you go. Well,
Wonderful.
thank you so much for being part of Supreme Dental Podcast Studio, powered by Supreme Dental. And just like Wesley, keep on smiling.
And if you don't know, now you know, you know, you know.
That's right.
And if you don't know, now you know, you know.